Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Tech Talk here at MarketStream.live. My name is Joseph Cusick from the Cusick Group, securities offered by MoneyBlock. Let's talk about charts. Let's talk about moving averages. Let's talk about option pricing, and let's talk about where we think stocks might be in the future. It's been an interesting trading day. The dynamic has evolved a little bit where you see the beneficiaries of the so-called Trump rally are lagging a little bit today. Actually, they're bouncing back now into the latter half of the closing hours. But we're seeing those stocks and those sectors that were rallying post-Trump election. They're pulling back a little bit earlier today. They're bouncing, but again, lagging. The defensive sectors, the sectors that were getting hit, are actually bouncing today. So I thought it'd be worth just taking a look at those sectors that have been benefiting from the Trump rally and those that have been lagging post the Trump election, and see where they're at, kind of give you some technical components to it, as well as forecast some future stock moves to the remainder of this week for these sector ETFs. So I want to start with the sectors that have been benefiting from the potential of the Trump policies that are coming forward. And the first one we're going to start off with is finance. And taking a look at XLF, which is the ETF that tracks finance, it's trading around 22.10. It was down roughly around 0.5% today. Looking at the 50 and 200-day moving averages, that's what we're going to look at as far as establishing some sort of technical support or resistance levels. Right now, technically, the 50-day moving average comes in, simple moving average, comes in at $20.50. So with the stock at 22, it's above where a simple moving average is. That's support. Though that would be my medium-term or mid-term support level. If we get a pullback in finance, we're going to watch that first level as the potential first challenge point. The 200-day moving average, though, hasn't been broken. It's being challenged, but has not broken year-to-date or at this point post the election. So the 200-day moving average comes in at 22.30. I want to see that broken if we're going to get a catalyst, because those people that have been holding stock over the last 200 days, it's now getting over that price point where they started to buy into this. It's been below there for a few weeks. Let's keep an eye on that. Implied volatility in the options is running around 25%. The options are pricing in for XLF to move between now and the end of this week around 45 cents. So that's basically about a 2% move being priced in the options as far as potential movement in the stock. Now taking a look at industrials. XLI is the ETF that tracks industrials. It's up about 0.3% off its worst levels of the session at 56.22 right now, 61.48 right now. Now the 50-day moving average comes in at 56.22 and the 200-day moving average comes in at 57.78. So you can see that there's a healthy gap between where the stock is trading and those moving averages come in. So we can consider the 50 and 200-day support levels right now. Implied volatility is coming in at 14.98%. That's basically telling us that the options are pricing in between now and Friday expiration of these options of this underlying moving potentially either up or down around 75 cents, which is about 1.2%. So we're going to keep an eye on that, especially as we get into the end of this week. It happens to be an expiration week for options. Finally, we're going to take a look at materials. Materials have been moving to the upside post the Trump election. XLB is the materials ETF. Been trading at 48.29. It's unchanged today. This 50-day moving average comes in at 47.22, and the 200-day moving average comes in at 46.35. So again, we have the stock trading above its midterm and its long-term moving averages. That's a positive for the bulls right now, and it's also where you can start seeing where the support levels are going to kick in if we do have a pullback. Vol is being run at 16.26% on the options. Basically, the options are pricing in until the end of this week. The potential for the stock to move about 64 cents either up or down or around 1.3%. Now taking a look at some of the defensive stocks, the stocks that have been really beat up since Trump has been elected, and they're on the offense today. Specifically, we're going to start with energy. Now, we've talked in the various segments today in Strategy Now, what's hot on the open, as well as the overnight action about how crude has been moving to the upside dramatically today. XLE is the ETF that tracks the energy sector. It's trading at 71.54, up 2.5%. The 50-day moving average comes in at 69.5, and the 200-day moving average comes in at 66. The implied volatility is running at around 21%, and the options are pricing in the potential for the stock to continue to move this week around up or down to $1.22 or around 1.7%. So there could be some decent-sized moves going into the end of the week in energy, especially if we see some interesting data come out tonight in the crude markets. The API data, the American Petroleum Institute, as well as the Department of Energy tomorrow morning. API tonight, tomorrow morning, the Department of Energy will be reporting stockpiles, so we'll watch the inventory numbers. Taking a look at the tech sector, we've seen part of the FANGs, Facebook, Apple, and Google. They've rebounded today. There seems to be an appetite to buy on these dips now. You look at the tech sector in general, been beat up overall, but it is up today. The QQQs, which track the NASDAQ stocks, is trading at 116.43, up about 1.7%. Now, the 50-day moving average comes in at 31.59, and the 200-day moving average comes in at 31.35. So we have the underlying, the Qs trading below the 50 and 200-day. We need to see that momentum. So you're going to need to see these large cap names continue to have some upside push and catalyst, and we still want to see the names that have been holding up pretty well, like some small cap tech as well as some biotech names. Take a look at IBB as the ETF that tracks biotech. It's been extremely impressive on its moves. Right now, the options are pricing in the potential for the Qs to move towards the end of the week, either up or down around 59 cents, which is about 1.9%. Taking a look at the telecommunications sector, IYZ is the ticker for the ETF that tracks that sector. It's up about 1.7% today at around $30.89. The 50-day comes in at 31.59, the 200-day 31.35. They're pricing in the potential to move about 59 cents, either up or down for the remainder of this week in IYZ, or about 1.9%. So there is some potential movement in there. We're going to keep an eye on that and see if maybe some weakness comes in, if in fact the market decides to take some profits after a pretty decent move today. And then finally, the last defensive name is going to be utilities, an XLU sector ETF that tracks the utilities, up about 1.6% today at 46.73. We see that this underlying is still trading below its 50-day, which is at 48.46, and the 200-day at 49.17. The options are pricing in the potential until expiration Friday this week of the stock potentially moving either up or down around 84 cents. Again, about a 1.79, almost 1.8% move in the underlying. So you see some interesting aspects about this market. But what's very interesting, folks, and I want to end on this note, is that you're not seeing a rotation out of stocks into other asset classes like bonds or commodities. You're actually seeing a rotation within the stock market. In other words, from financials into energies or utilities, and so forth, from industrials into telecommunications and tech. So it's a very interesting rotation dynamic that's going on right here. And for those that have been feeling like this has been too far, too fast, I would somewhat agree with you, except for the fact that the bottom line is that we continue to see that the rally is based off of increased interest in where the potential benefits of policies that are going to be coming down the pipe, as well as what they're seeing on the forefront as far as inflation and growth. So it's very interesting. We're going to keep an eye on it, both technically as well as fundamentally. And here at Tech Time, keep an eye on it. We're going to be covering it. We will see you at 4:30 Eastern Time for the closing bell. Until then, have a great rest of the trading day. Take care.